Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, hello, my name is Kim. I go by Kimberkiss on YouTube. So I wanted to jump on here and make a short video. It probably won't be too short, but we'll try to make it short. So I was actually stung by two yellow jackets. It was such a funny thing. My husband was mowing the lawn, ran over a nest. I heard my daughter yelling and I thought something was wrong, but here she was just cheering him on while he was mowing the lawn. And I jump outside really quick to make sure she's okay. And he runs over this yellow jacket's nest, this hornet's nest, and one came flying at me and bit me on the arm, the left arm, and the right side of my back. So it bit me, I ran inside, here it was stuck in my shirt, and then bit me again on my back, threw my shirt off, put it in the washing machine, the bee was in there. So yeah, I had this huge reaction on both of them, but mostly on my arm, where it just swelled up and got really red and hot, and it's huge. I'll probably insert a picture here. The reason that I'm coming on and talking about this story is because I had a huge aha moment and realization, because I realized this actually occurred quite shortly after I had filmed the Hydra and Andromeda starseed reading, which I have not uploaded yet. I will be, depending on when I decide to upload this video, it will either be uploaded tomorrow or before this one, but either way, when I was talking with Indigo Angel about the Hydra constellation and how it coincides so much with the wasp, the hornet, the bee, and how these were literally on the rocks in Egypt, the pyramids of Giza. It's really interesting how it all coincides. It was actually just such an amazing aha moment that I had. Like, how did I not put these two things together to begin with? So I had this huge aha moment. And what's really, really interesting is I feel, because if you watched one of my videos, I'll insert it down here. I can't remember exactly which starseed reading it was, but I spoke about how I had that dream and my husband had that dream that we both had something wrong with our bloodstream that was infected. And so I actually had to get on prednisone and an antibiotic because they weren't sure if it was just a reaction or also an infection coinciding with it. Because sometimes, you know, bacteria ends up on the bee or on your skin, and then it punctures the skin and it could, you know, cause an infection. So I got on both things. I'm glad I went to the doctor right away because I had a huge reaction. But after this, I have received so many downloads and so many messages, and it is so profound and so intense that I literally feel that I received a huge, massive upgrade from the hornet, from the yellow jacket. It's interesting because shortly before this, I actually asked my guides, my higher beings of light, to help me face more of my shadow aspects, to give me the strength to do so. And I feel like this was kind of like a push towards my shadow. And I had this dream also, which I'll get into in a minute, but so we're pushed to face our shadow aspects, right? And how this all coincides is, while this is happening, like, you're really upset. Like, I was really upset. I got stung. It hurt so bad. Like, my arm, I could barely move it. My back hurt really bad. It hurt for days. Well, this is only the third day, but it hurt that bad. Like, I couldn't sleep. If you saw the pictures, you'll understand why. But I was like put in a situation, I was forced to intake darkness in a sense, right? But not so much that it's like evil. It's just like a thing that exists and coincides within duality. And so what was interesting here is when I put two and two together, that coincides with my dream, which again, I'll speak about in a minute. It's like I was forced into this situation to really face this thing that happened to me. And while it hurt so bad while I was going through it, and I was like really confused as to why this had happened, and I was really frustrated, the more that I put out those emotions, the more resistance there was. So then when I took the higher consciousness level and I saw that, okay, well, stepping outside myself, what was this hornet doing? It wasn't just attacking me. It was trying to protect its nest that my husband had just ran over. So then you take on the perspective of that, and then you integrate that like the bigger picture. Also, I realized that I received so many messages while this was all occurring. And so it was almost like an insectoid injection of higher consciousness. And as silly as it sounds, it's like really important here because these constellation aspects are really trying to get our attention. They're really trying to communicate with us. Our shadow aspects are really trying to get our attention, are really trying to communicate with us. And I feel like until we surrender into it and ask for assistance in facing these things, it doesn't do the collective any good. It doesn't do you any good. It's important to face them. Now, while it's not important to dwell on them, it's still important to face them and to allow them to integrate. So I'm not telling you to ask to have assistance and go get stung by bees, but don't be surprised if something darker does happen, because in a sense, I'm really grateful that it did, because while I was processing all the reasons as to like what my mind does when things happen to me, I took on the higher level of consciousness and understanding the bigger picture of what was actually going on, I realized that the constellation of Hydra is really communicating with me here. It's really getting my attention, and it's showing me things. It's teaching me things. And what's also interesting is I belong to a huge family of insectoid beings. If you've watched my video, I'm not sure if it's still public because I'm not sure if my daughter appeared in that one, and now we're not allowed to have kids in videos, so I might have taken it off my playlist. But if I still have it, I will insert it in the description box below or somewhere on the screen here. But definitely check the box below because I know it'll be there, or in the comments, maybe both. But I had an experience when this was my first or second ET experience, let's just say. I was about 5 or 6, I believe. I was pretty young. And I heard this weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like buzzing sound behind my bedroom door. So let's say this is my door. Let's say this is my door. This is the wall. So it was against the wall. It wasn't closed. It was up against the wall, but I saw something, like the outline of something behind it. So I went to go see what this noise was. And I looked behind my door and there's this huge, massive fly. I'm talking huge, like large. And it was so weird because it was like all made up of wires, and the wires were like blue and purple and red. And I remember this so vividly in my mind. It's like I'm still living through it. It's so bizarre. But I went up to touch it and it put off like static electricity, and it shocked me. And then I remember standing a few feet away from my door and like coming to and not remembering how I got in that specific spot because I had been just right by my door. And then the thing was gone. And I remember hearing my mom upstairs like putting towels away in the bathroom, and I asked her, I was like, Mom, did you hear that weird noise? Like, did you hear any of that? She's like, no, I didn't hear anything. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And I was so confused. And I went back in bed and I laid down. Now, do I think that was an abduction experience? Perhaps. I just remember losing time, losing consciousness, and ending up farther away from my door. And remember, I'm a child. I'm still cognitively developing and trying to put things together. So I do feel when I tap into that being that I saw, it was like a protective energy. It was like almost like a motherly energy, like a light being family member. So I feel almost as if the insectoids are also communicating with me, because also before I got stung, a few days before that, I saw a huge praying mantis in our driveway, and I've never seen one in person before. Like, I've seen photos of them and stuff, but I've never seen one in person. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I put it up on my Instagram. I was just like so intrigued because they're so alien looking. Like, if you look at their eyes, they literally look like little aliens. Well, they're kind of big, and I showed my daughter and she was loving it too. But I saw that and I Googled what the meaning of the praying mantis was, and it had two dualistic meanings. One meaning that it's good luck and one meaning that it's bad luck. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to take the perspective that it's good luck, right? But then this whole bee thing happened. I got stung. I was like, wow, maybe it was like a sign to me that this was about to happen. But when I connected with this praying mantis, and I know this is going to sound crazy to a lot of you, but it's okay. I think a lot of you that are tuning in, that get my frequency, my energy, will understand. When I connected with this praying mantis, it's like we locked eyes, and like there was literal exchanges of information or like knowings that came through. And it was almost like I knew what was about to occur. And then this happened, and so I got really frustrated. Of course, I got really mad that I got stung and everything and hurt so bad. But then I realized that the hornet was only protecting its nest, and that perhaps Hydra is trying to get my attention for something. It's trying to communicate something. And when we think of the bee, another message that I got that's just coming through now is that the bee has the yellow stripes and the white stripes coinciding as one, right? And so if you think of it in a dualistic way, that's the darkness and the light, both existing in one being. What are we? We are both darkness and light coexisting in one being. We can allow the darkness to overtake us. We can allow the light to overtake us. But if you have a harmonic balance of both while you're coexisting on a dualistic plane, it becomes more manageable, right? But we are moving into higher aspects of light. So it doesn't surprise me that these lower shadows or darkness is trying hard to get our attention, or is trying to maybe be transmuted to come along with us. So these are just interesting messages that I'm just channeling through now, that I'm just explaining of what happened. And it's just really profound to me because insectoid medicine, I feel like that sting, like, and the venom in and of itself provided me so much more wisdom than I could have tapped into now prior to being stung. So why all the downloads all of a sudden? Why all the information? Why all the higher geometries being shown to me? So it's really, really interesting. And also, what's also interesting is when me and Indigo were talking about Hydra and how it's literally the merging of the divine masculine, the divine feminine. It's the left side of the body that I got stung, and it's also the right side of the body that I got stung. And it's like merging into one, right? It's interesting. It's very interesting. And we need both, right? While we're coexisting here on this dualistic plane, because I do believe in higher dimensions, beings are androgynous, meaning they're both female and male in one body, but it's like we're almost like transmuting into that higher level of awareness and consciousness and understanding the higher perspective, the higher picture, the reason why everything is unfolding the way it is. I also, this is like a lot of information just coming through, but I had a dream the other night where I was literally an angel of pure white light, but I was falling. And then I was climbing up a ladder from having fallen. So I was climbing up this ladder from having fallen, and then at the top was a shadow angel. And then once I met eyes with the shadow angel, it was like I realized I needed this aspect of me to complete myself. And the shadow angel, I was also looking to the pure white angel that was climbing up the ladder. And as it rose to the top and I met eyes with it, I realized, oh my God, like this is the divine light and love and purity that I've always been missing out on. And they both merged essences by looking at one another straight in the eye. And then ultimately they conjoined into one. They joined into one force, and they rose up and ascended and like transmuted into mist. And I feel like when we have the correct balancing of both the darkness and the light, both the feminine and the masculine, when we literally all work together and understand each other's perspective by literally bilocating into the other person and the other person into us to understand one another and communicate, we can ultimately then conjoin and merge into one being and then transmute anything that perhaps was unbalanced or like not understood. I hope this is making sense, but this was just really profound stuff that has just been pouring in and coming through, and I just wanted to jump on here and talk about it really quickly. And it might sound kind of strange, but I do think from a very high galactic level, a very high dimensional level, and I do understand that people aren't always ready for my frequency or my perspectives or my thoughts. So I'm okay with that. But for those of you that are understanding and are like literally receiving the codes that I'm exchanging right now, you will understand. And so it also made me think, okay, so you know how I got stung by the yellow jacket, and during that my arms swelling up in the pain and like feeling so frustrated, like I just walked outside the door and got stung and attacked, like why me, why is this happening, blah 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 blah. When I let go of the resistance of that and I took on the higher like consciousness awareness of what was actually occurring with the hornet just protecting its nest and saw me as a threat, right? And me putting that perspective in and then understanding like the culmination of everything and every event that had just occurred, it's like I was transmuting and allowing those energies to raise to a higher level of consciousness, therefore ascending the whole experience. And how this plays in with what's going on right now is very important, because we are going through a time where on the 3D, if you're still stuck in 3D lower consciousness, it's a time of darkness. But if you're tapped into higher levels of consciousness, it's also a very high time of light, and the light is just getting bigger and bigger and shining brighter and brighter. Did my phone just light up? Because it looked like my phone lit up when I did that. That was weird. Like turning a light bulb on. That was cool. Like my whole face lit up. Sign from spirit. But I feel like while this is all occurring with COVID, if it's even real, or whatever, am I allowed to say that? I don't know. But whatever is going on that doesn't feel right because something's off and fishy about it, right? There's something off about it. Like we can all tap into that awareness and know that and feel that, right? That consciousness. We're getting to higher levels of consciousness is the point that I'm getting at. And while this is all going on and playing out around us, we're trying to perhaps understand why. But what we really just need to understand is it's all happening for a reason. And it's the bigger picture thinking. So while we're not understanding why it's happening, from a higher consciousness level, we are, right? Duality again, but we are, because we're always tapped into that higher consciousness. So when we look down at the bigger picture, it's awful, perhaps for many people going through this now. For many people, it's also not affecting them as much, right? Which timeline are you choosing to tap into, and which perspective are you looking to take on when looking at it? But also, it's very painful for many people going through this right now. If they chose to experience that timeline, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? We all are different perspectives of source. Hence why we're all different. We think differently, we have different thoughts, but when we connect in with one another, we can share our perspectives, share our thoughts, and really integrate all the puzzle pieces that of source. And then source can come to understand us better. And then we can merge the two. So while we don't understand ultimately what's going on, we ultimately do. And while it's not comfortable while it's happening, just like my bee sting wasn't, we understand from a higher consciousness level that it had to occur this way. Because it helped us to go in more. It helped us to tap into more of our humanness and joining together as a humanity. And while some people are still playing out separation, there's many of us who turned on the light, who connected in with ourselves to the light of the sun, to the light of source, and we clicked on our online mechanisms. Do you see this light? Oh my gosh. Maybe it's not picking up for you guys, but I just saw it. We're turning on our blueprints. We're turning on our avatars. We are literally remembering so much, and there's so much coming through and so much being integrated. And while it seems very, very overwhelming on each end of the spectrum, we have to understand that the reason why it's getting so intense is because we're cultivating more light. We're integrating more light, more higher consciousness awareness. So there's a lot coming through, and I'm very ADD right now. So I apologize, but I think you guys are getting what I'm saying. While this is all playing out, it might not be exactly pleasurable for many people, but at the same time, it had to occur this way so that way we could shine light on what is not serving us, what is perhaps out of balance within humanity, within the earth itself. So that way we can tap into higher consciousnesses, bring them down onto here and shine them out. Shine them out. So also, when you're doing shadow work, another message that came through, if I hadn't talked about it already, is, well, it's important to face your shadows. It's also important to face your light and integrate both. So you can use higher light quotients, because we're literally intaking so much higher light quotients right now into our consciousness and into the earth. And it's like almost like digging up all this like darkness in order to balance it out, to cleanse it out, to bring it together, to merge it together. It's definitely a balancing act. And so while one is occurring, the other is occurring. And we just need to get it back into balance. And I hope that makes sense. But I feel like it will. And I feel like those of you that are tapped into higher consciousness levels and can literally understand and see the picture, bigger picture of all of its entirety, it will make sense. And I feel like even speaking these words right now and communicating this to you, I don't even really have to do this, because I'm literally holding the light, I'm holding the frequency and the knowledge within me, and I'm transmitting it to you through this video. So whether you understand it now or it gets integrated later on, neither of that is wrong. Neither of it is, it's just going to be transmuted, because I'm literally emanating this out to you. And so I don't really have to worry so much about how my words are being perceived. I just need to allow the information to flow through, the downloads to flow through, and my frequency to flow through onto you, because your consciousness and your psychic ability, awareness, and knowing will pick up on my frequency and the information that I'm providing through it. So that's going to lead into another video that I'm going to speak on. I won't end this video because I feel like it's a little bit too long, and I feel like I just blabbed a lot, but I feel like the frequency in and of itself will help convey the messages that I was trying to convey, and will unlock some things within your consciousness and some aha moments and some things that you probably already know, because you are such high frequency beings and you are so in tune. But I just felt like I really wanted to share this message from my heart to yours, and I feel like you will understand. And so the next video that I'm going to be talking about has to do with like language barriers and light language, and how we're moving out of language altogether and into more of a frequency attunement, more of telepathy. And so that'll be an exciting video for me to put up here soon. So stay tuned for that. And yes, my Andromeda and Hydra video will be released either tomorrow or before this, depending on when I decide to upload this video. And yeah, so I would really love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I feel like the insectoids are really coming through strongly, like the insectoid constellations like Musca. I know like Hydra's coming through so much right now, Andromeda, Cetus, which coincides with Andromeda. What else? Different constellations that aren't that well known, such as like the Triangulum Austral that I tapped into. I've been receiving so many downloads from that, and Crooks. And yeah, it's really interesting. So I will get into more of that within further videos of what I've been receiving as far as downloads go, and different techniques that my higher dimensional beings through this sting have actually showed me how to do and teach you guys. So it's really interesting. I know it sounds really bizarre, but I feel like if you're tapped into my frequency, you kind of understand, and you're going to understand. It's going to be very beneficial for you guys, and I'm really excited to be releasing these videos coming up, because I just feel like they're going to help you guys out a lot. And yeah, so bringing back balance and understanding that all is one will really help transmute things going on outside of you, inside of you, and just understand we're bringing in so much higher light quotient that it's like bringing up all this darkness as well. And this is the balancing act. So I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions or you have any thoughts or comments, leave them down below. I would love to hear from you guys. You know, I always write back. Always love to hear from you. And if you have not already, definitely subscribe, hit that bell, because YouTube no longer notifies subscribers unless you hit the bell. So make sure you do, so I can deliver these important messages to you guys, because I do receive high galactic messages, and more have been coming through. And I just feel like there's going to be so much more that I'm going to be providing to you guys. And it's like this next step, right? The next step on the ladder. So it's really exciting. I love you all so very much. Just, you know, stay happy, stay well. Definitely do your meditations, you guys, because I feel like Spirit is coming through so strongly right now. And I feel like this full moon, did it happen on the full moon? Hold on, guys. I think it happened on the full moon or the day before. Either way, that's very significant, because this full moon is definitely a portal, and there's definitely very strong things coming in. It's a great time to manifest, and it's a great time to release shadows and integrate higher light. So make a list, a dualistic list of all the things you want to release and all the things that you want to bring into your experience, and can join them into one and let them transmute each other, right? Because it's ultimately cultivating a higher frequency energy of a higher perspective and a higher awareness to cultivate into your reality now. So I hope this is making sense. I feel like I said my frequency in and of itself will help convey the messages that I'm meaning to convey, because sometimes I don't always speak the proper languages. So I love you all so incredibly much. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in any light language healings, Starseed Origins readings from me, or personal readings, everything will be listed in the description box below. I love each and every one of you so much, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon.